What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Addict's Truth podcast. Special guest host today. Today's a very special day. 6 years sober for our host, Mr. Johnny Mendonca. So it's a big day. I'm going to be interviewing him today. Get some of his story and get what his journey through sobriety has been like. So I'm real excited for this one. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you, man. I'm hyped. Got Big Josh over in here.
We're here.
Yeah, 6 years, man.
So, I mean, you've talked about your story before, obviously. People know what you were doing, but what's it been like? 6 years now, it's a long time. What was it like starting out? You're beginning sober. What kind of change was that? Because I know when you first get sober, you can't lean on the things you used to lean on, right? Like you can't lean on the substances. So you'll have tough thoughts, tough situations. What was that like in the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, I love when we talk about that. At first, it was just like, so I had multiple ones. The first one was like heroin, like trying to get off opiates. So I did opiates for like 10 years. And, really it was just trying to figure out how to get sober and live life without it. I did it. I've told you before, like I wake up, do it to get out of bed. If I didn't, I'd be dope sick before I even got my day going. And then to try to think about living life without that, it was my go-to. On lunch break, I was snorting a bag of dope. I'll get out of work, do a pill. Like it was just my close to oxygen. Like I needed it to function. And finally got myself to detox and rehab. And then it was just interesting coming home, like trying to live life without it. You don't realize it's like a dating relationship. Like it's 90% of your day of where do I get it? How do I get more money? How do I sneak it and do it in the bathroom my parents aren't looking? How do I not let this girl find out? So you come home and you've sobered up, you feel like $1 million, but now it's like life starts to hit. So, I like what you said where it's like those first challenges, what do you do? Because I was like, the first breakup, the first stress of money, a job. I came home with no license, no car, 4 warrants, facing 4 years minimum in prison. And I was like, how am I going to stay sober? Like that's the least of my worries really, but it was had to be number one. So first of all, I found myself to a 12-step program and got a sponsor, did the steps. My whole life got better. And sadly, that's why I said it was 2 steps for me. I never really drank a lot during my opiate use for 10 years. So I had 7 months sober. My whole life got right where you want it, sober and great and close to perfect. And sure enough, I thought I could drink like other people. And actually that's where our paths crossed. I took a drink, got so drunk, I took my dad's car, thought it was mine, crashed it, spilled a bunch of Crevassier in it, and moved to Yonkers. And then, we could talk about how that went, and then I could talk about getting sober from alcohol, but that.
There's a lot I want to talk about. You've had a crazy path. Like you've had a crazy path, and I think that's how, like, when it's time to get sober, it's because you've had a crazy path. But when, kind of like what you were hinting at, when you first got sober, you're learning how to do life again, like a real life. I can't lean on this old stuff. I know your situation. You could, when you were drinking, doing drugs, you could always go back to a restaurant, get a job, this, that, whatever, but you weren't living to your fullest potential. So when you first started out, because I kind of want to work my way through you to where you're at now, because you're doing big things now, and we'll get to that. But what did you, when you first got sober, did you get a job? What did that beginning look like? And how did that feel? Like, what did that feel like? Because I think people that are going to be watching this, they either been through a journey like yours or they're looking to make that step into sobriety. So what was that like? Did you get a job? Did you go back to your old environment and had to fight all the temptation? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, that's a great question. It was, like I said, it was a whole new world, like Aladdin. Like it was just like brushing your teeth I didn't brush my teeth in addiction hardly. Once a week, like shower often. Like it was, I always say it's like a baby, a newborn. You're trying to relearn life. Like when do I eat? Like I didn't really eat. I ate like at the end of the night at a restaurant I worked at, and then I just passed out. Like, you don't have an appetite on, especially heroin or any opiates. So it was like, I'm hungry. This is weird. I actually got a funny story that this is how I relate it to people that don't understand how much of a life change it is. I was in rehab. I did detox in rehab for heroin and opiates. And I went to the nurse. They have like a nurse station for people that haven't been to rehab, you know. And I went to where the nurses are, and you can go there, get meds, Tylenol if you're on meds. You could ask questions if you thought something's wrong with you. They'll check you out. And I went there, and I was like, I think I got a problem, like, health-wise. And they're like, all right, what's going on? Like, you need to see the doctor? And I was like, I've been shitting like once or twice a day. I was like, I got to be dying. And I'll never forget, like, this cute, like, my age nurse, and she looked at me, she's like, what?
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, she's like, welcome to life. And she's like, wait, what's the problem? I was like, I think I've messed up my stomach because I know it messes with your stomach, opiates. I was like, something's got to be wrong. Shitting like once a day, twice a day. And she's like, can I just ask you, like, how often you went to the bathroom during it? I was like, once a week, because the opiates bind you up so much. So, I mean, as funny as it is, I was like a baby. I was trying to figure out how often do humans shit. Like, you know, because, like, sometimes it'd be once a week. Like, it backs you up so much when you do opiates and heroin. So it was down to even that. And then when I got home, it was just implement gym was huge for me. Thankfully, the last place I went, they really touched on it's not putting away drugs or a drink. You know, it's taking care of your mental, physical, spiritual health. So right away, it was about prayer every morning, gym. Then it was about a basic job, very humbling job. I think my first job at a rehab was like this place that like does your lawn and drops seeds for ticks and grows your grass. And like I was just in an office with a couple girls answering calls, like minimum wage. All that had to start to not matter. My sobriety had to matter. You know, I had to be okay being broke without a girlfriend and just hit meetings and start to learn who I was. I mean, you wake up and you're like, what are these emotions? Like, you numb yourself for so long that I didn't know how to deal with anger. I had to deal with a little anxiety, a little sadness, a little loneliness, happiness. I didn't know how to deal with that. So really, like, it was a basic job, gym, meetings, prayer, and start to just be a human, be a brother, a son, a friend again. And
I think it's crazy when you first start out, when you're trying to piece your life together. You know, the first thing is kicking the alcohol. But then you, at the same time, you have to figure out who you are. Like, I remember when I was drinking all the time, like when I wasn't sober, people would ask me what my hobbies are. I didn't even know. Oh, what do you want to do with your life? I didn't know. I didn't think about any of this stuff. So when you first get sober and you first put that drink down, you said, you know what, I'm going to be like a civilian. I'm going to be a civilized person. I'm going to stop getting arrested. I'm going to stop staying up all night. I'm going to stop switching from job to job. I'm going to stop ruining relationships. You got to, not only do you have to fight the temptations of alcohol, drugs, all that stuff, but you have to suck it up in the beginning because you're going to, until you learn what you want to do in life, until you learn how to get on your feet, you might have to work a shitty job. You might have to do things that you don't want to do. And you really got to tough it out. Like, for you, I know spirituality is big for you. And like you said, you pray. But I think you also know that life gives you setbacks. And life's going to push you down. So, you can't go to alcohol with that anymore. You can't go to drugs. Have you been knocked down since being sober? Have you been kind of felt like you were at rock bottom since being sober? When you thought, because I know when I got sober, I thought, oh, it's going to be all sunshine and rainbows from here. Have you been humbled since being sober?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been just constantly humbled. Everything I think I have today is from all my lessons. So, you know, it started, my first year was like that. They call it pink cloud in AA and NA, I think. My first year was just chilling. It was vibes. Like, it was like, everyone was happy. Everyone's proud of me. I'm a miracle. You know, my life's better. Girls want me. I'm making a little money. I don't put stuff up my nose every morning. I was like, what could be wrong? And that gratitude's what you live on. And the key is keeping that because, like, a year in, you know, COVID hit 3 days after my anniversary, the first year. So I went from, like, I finally got my life together, life's good, to a world pandemic. I'm stuck in my house. Like, I question God a lot and that. And then July of that year, 3 of my friends died in a year. And that's where Recovery Jon, at the time called Get Lifted, started. Everyone I used with was just dropping like flies, and they're all in my area. So I was just like, how do I help people? And I decided to go for a run, cry and pray before the run. And I was like, God, just show me what you want me to do. Because I was on step 12, and it's service to other people is how I stay sober the rest of my life. But I can't do that from home. I was isolated in quarantine. So my sponsor was like, I don't know, pray. So I prayed, went for a run, and it hit me. Like social media, you could reach people that way and inspire people. So I started posting before and afters.
So when you say it hit you, you prayed on it, and
You
had a thought, or you had like
the genius idea. I feel like I don't hear God's voice. Or maybe it is here, I don't know. But I don't attest a lot of my success or even like cool things I've done to myself. The only thing I really did was turn to God. And I was running on a bridge. I still have the picture of it. And it's just like getting punched in the chest with an idea. Like, I just see it all. I like just feel it and believe it. And it just hit me. Like, social media, like the whole map to where I'm at today came out. It was like posting social media, people see it, use before and after pictures of yourself. Me cracked out. And then now, at the time, I was pretty fit, little six-pack, little muscles. I was like, take a shirt. When my shirt was off, I was like, take a pic, put them side by side, and write your story above it. And I started doing that, and
Well, that's so interesting to me, because I've heard from, you follow like artists or people that are creatives, stand-up comedians, people that do creative stuff and get paid for it. You hear it all the time that you can't force ideas, you can't force new jokes, you can't force lyrics if you're a rapper. It just you wait for that moment to be inspired, and then it comes to you. You have to get in that creative zone. And so if you're spiritual, that's kind of being gifted to you in a way. You have to be in a good place to get an idea like that. And then does it feel right? Is it an idea that feels right when you get it and you just know and then you run with it? Because you've probably had a million ideas in your lifetime. But look at you right now. You've got a podcast, you've got social medias, you got things growing for you. Obviously, it was right to go down the path you chose. Did it feel right? Like, is it a feeling you can't explain?
Yeah, it's like you just know God. Like, that's where the faith in God comes. But when it's so strong, it's not even a faith. Like, I just knew. I was like, I'm supposed to do this. There's no question. When I was writing the book, another obstacle was like my brother passing away. And we could talk about that, but that's the only reason I wrote the book. Like, I was going to write a book, and everyone started saying, you should write a book. And I think God speaks to people. And I started writing the book before my brother, because some people said that. And I just hit this wall, and it didn't, like you said, like, I was like, I don't want to write this anymore. Like, there's more coming. I literally remember saying that, and I wish it wasn't my brother passing, but I was like, there's more God wants in this. And I remember, like, that's my faith in God. I put the book aside. And I remember one time during COVID, I was writing it. I was actually writing it on all these sheets, like mapping it out. My brother walked in, he's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm starting to write a book. And I'll never forget, he looked at me, he's like, yeah, okay, you're high. And he walked away. And I wasn't. I was like a year and a half sober. But obviously my old behaviors portrayed that to him.
That's interesting, not to cut you off, but that's interesting you say that, because that's another thing. When you get sober, you start getting these ideas to do things, but it's all new to you because you're finally finding what you like to do. So the people around you, you seem like a new person to them.
Seem crazy.
You seem crazy. And I know me personally, I'll just be the first one to say, I care what people think about me. So I've been afraid in the past to express myself in certain ways, put stuff on social media when you're really just expressing yourself. Has that been a roadblock for you at all? Is what other people are saying? Has family, friends, peers came out and said, like, what's Jon doing, man? Like, he really thinks he's going to go down this path? Has that happened at all to you?
Absolutely. I'd be lying to say it hasn't affected me, or I've never been challenged with it. But I never let it stop me. I mean, maybe at times, maybe there's some things I would have done. But like you said, like when I started doing it, it felt right. And then right away, like I remember one time my parents, like, you good? Like, why are you putting your crackhead on Facebook? Like, everyone's going to see that, which makes sense. Like, it was my biggest secret, I hid it, and that's why I did it, because I understood why my friends were dying, They felt less than going to rehab. They felt the feeling you're talking about getting better. You know, that's why addicts die and never get sober, usually, unless they really don't want it, is because, you know, I have thousands of people reach out to me a month, a year, and always the first comment is, I don't want my family to know. It's like, well, your family's got to know, man. It's okay. And yeah, I had friends reach out that like, yo, our other friends are saying like, why are you putting you sold heroin or did heroin on that Facebook? And I'm like, you just don't get my perspective. Like, people need this. You know, and I remember I was shooting my pants. The first post, I did the run, I took the picture, came back, it hit me before I took the picture, sat down. I made the picture side by side. It was me cracked out and then me sober flexing. And then I typed it. I started crying because like a lot of emotions from my friends. I knew what path I was about to start. And then I went to go hit post and I was like, I don't know, I just like shit my pants. I was like, damn, like exes are gonna see this. My parents' friends, my friends' parents, my friends that I don't talk to anymore, they're gonna be like, why is he posting this? And I just made it. I thought about it and I just meditated on it for a second. I was like, you know, that's what 12-step taught me. It's like, it's bigger than me. It's about service other people. You know, it doesn't matter if it makes me look stupid, you know, and they already know I'm a drug addict, drug dealer. So can it hurt more to say now I'm sober?
If they already know,
yeah,
then,
you know, and whoever doesn't know, well, now you know. I have a cool story. Like, it's motivating. And yeah, so at times, I just make sure when I post, I try not to hurt anyone, like my family or exes and stuff like that.
but it's crazy because at the same time, the more genuine you are and the more you are real about what happened, the more people on social media will connect. And honestly, the more viral you'll go. Or so has that been a challenge for you? Like how much you want to be open about?
Yeah, definitely. The book was tough because, like, you know, what do I put about my brother? He's not here to ask, you know, so it's not really, his story is not mine to tell. So I put a little bit, but I didn't want to, you know, put his whole story out there. He didn't decide to have his story out there. When I post parts of my story, like obviously even the book too and social media, like my grandparents listen the most, like my parents, you know, my aunts, my cousins. So I'm very open with them. I mean, they know most, but obviously like, you know, you don't want to talk about like crazy girl nights or certain things that like you might not want, you know, certain people to think about here. So yeah, but I do it, just try to do it tastefully. But I, like the book, I was really honest. My social media, I try to be honest. And like you said, when I'm genuine from the heart, there's millions of people. That's the whole thing, is everyone thinks they're alone. So I could put a statement out about how, yesterday I did one about a day in the life of a heroin addict. And it was about how I wake up, like need dope sick, snort a little, find some more, 10,000 views instantly, hundreds of comments. Everyone like, damn, that was my life.
Is that what your life looked like?
Yeah, yeah.
At the worst?
At the worst, it was like wake up, you're instantly in a full flu setting. You have cold sweats, chills, sneezing, diarrhea, you're nauseous, you're anxious, your whole body just shutting down every day until you get that. So if I was smart enough to save a little, I'd snort some in my bed, get out, feel like Superman all of a sudden. If not, I had to like go shower, dope sick, make a couple calls, try to get some money, get someone to front me some, go get some, you know.
What brought you to your knees the worst? Was it the dope? Was it alcohol?
Different levels.
Different
the
levels.
dope
Right?
brings your life to a different level. Like you could be a functioning alcoholic easily. The dope, you're just useless. You know, you're just a lying piece of shit. It's a person I didn't want to be. You know, I was making moves, selling drugs that could have really hurt people.
Is it because the craving is so much worse that you'll change your whole life to get it?
Yeah, and the dope sickness, and then your money. So, like, if you're an alcoholic, I know a lot of alcoholics, obviously now, sober ones and current alcoholics, that, like, still were fun, like, had a life and a wife and a home and a mortgage. Because, like, a $30 bottle, okay, $30, that's not a bad habit. Like, there's days during, you know, especially Oxycontin, I had a $300 a day habit. So for
And you can get alcohol anywhere.
Exactly, yeah, and you can get a couple nips even for
accessible.
the day. Like, I need to go buy a bundle of heroin for $100 a day, minimum. So it's like, right there, I have no money. So now you start to do things that you wouldn't usually do, or you're physically very sick. And that's where people, I do this to kill a stigma, because a lot of parents, friends, family are like, this is just a bad person. You know, it's like, no, that person, if they don't steal your $50, they're going to be deathly ill. So like, what would you do?
It's
You know what I
it's desperate times call for
Exactly.
desperate measures.
Yeah.
Type of situation, I feel like. So it's when a drug or something takes over your life that much, you'll do anything. You'll hurt anybody. You'll do anything because it's like survival at that point. Is what it feels like.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but it's alcohol was a different one. Alcohol was a more spiritual low. I just felt very demised, like mentally. It confused me a lot. Like heroin, you're not drunk. It's me now. I just feel and numb inside. I remember days with us working at, Rory's and Yonkers. Like I didn't know what fucking day it was. I'd be like, the house is slow for Saturday, and like you or someone look at me and be like, dude, it's a Tuesday. You're shot, and like that messed with me. Like I just felt so disconnected to life, so depressed, drinking alone. Yeah, that brought me to a different spiritual low where I was like, it's not the life I want to live. It looks fun. Like we all had great times, but we've talked about it that like when I got home and, you told your story on here, like you just wake up the next morning and you're just like, the shame is bad, the guilt. Like I feel like a piece of shit.
Well, that's the problem with alcohol too, is that when you're doing dope, you are, for the most part, still sharp in certain ways, whereas alcohol, it's gonna put you to sleep, like while you're still functioning, while you're still out and about. So alcohol can make you do some bad stuff, and the next day you wake up and you have to live with that. And we were talking about this earlier where, like, for me personally, and your alcohol situation was kind of similar where you didn't have to drink every day. But when you did drink, you would do something stupid. Like, I'll just say it for you. Like, when we were living down in Woodlawn, the one morning we wake up, we go to work at the restaurant, and one of the managers shows us the video of you tossing trash bags in front of some business, and you didn't remember doing it at all. It's because alcohol will take you to a place where you don't remember it, you make a bad decision, you wake up and you have to live with it. So it can be bad. It doesn't have to be an everyday thing where you're craving it all day and you're stealing someone's purse to fund it. But yeah, it could be bad. But so we were talking about day in the life. What's your day in the life look like now? Because it's got to be different from, you make the funny videos of you doing stuff as a heroin day in the life. What's it looking like for you now?
It's crazy, man. I made a video the other day talking about how just it's something that's unspoken about in sobriety. I'm curious, like, for you to answer after this if you dealt with this, but because you weren't like that full blown daily addict either. Like at least I had the heroin thing, or not at least, but that makes me struggle with it more. But like I'm used to being a fuck up. Not now so much, but I still am. But especially the first 3 years, like, that's 3 years sobriety. I had 10 years of fucking up. So I'm used to, like, mom and dad, you can bail me out. Yo, can you spot me some? Oh, I got jumped. Oh, I jumped someone. Like, oh, I have no car. Oh, my car broke down for good. I have no gas. I ran out of gas. It's weird now that my normal day is, like, wake up, pray, go to the gym, have a coffee, read a little motivational book. Oh, what business am I working with today? Oh, do I have the podcast? Get my nice car from my nice apartment, great friends. Like I'm not that's abnormal to an addict, like I'm getting used to having like amazing friends, to going to weddings, to having money in my bank account, to getting in a nice car. Like there's days I still look at my new car and I'm like, whose car is that? That's crazy.
Well, it makes you grateful because you didn't have it.
Yeah.
So, like, think about what you were driving when you were not sober.
We used to joke about it all the time.
Think about the phone. This kid has 2 iPhones right now. Just don't know why. You have no idea why he has 2 iPhones. He's got a burner.
He got a burner.
But no, he's got 2 iPhones now. And the point I'm making is, the Johnny I knew, he would have a different
prepaid,
the
real burner,
flip phone, like something you would get at like a CVS type phone. And so, yeah, when you're like in the throes of your addiction, you're not cherishing your personal belongings. You're not taking care of what you have. And if you are a person that believes in God, God's not going to give you stuff you can't handle. And so now you have an abundance, and it's like, wait, sometimes it comes so quick. Like you do. I'm very proud of you. I'm very happy for you. You have a very nice car right now. You have a nice apartment. You're well dressed. You have an abundance of things. And that doesn't happen by mistake. That's because it started by you getting sober, right? It did. It started by you getting sober. And then it just builds on top of it. What I noticed, I'm going on 4 years without a drink of alcohol. Alcohol, I'm sure, obviously I've been on an episode a while ago, but for me, alcohol was a problem for me. I stopped drinking, and then I started noticing other problems I had to work on. Personality problems. Maybe I was being too sensitive about certain things, and certain things were happening. So, what kind of problems are you dealing with now with yourself that you're working on? Because you say you have a nice car, a nice apartment, and you have all those things, but I think when you get sober, like I was saying before, you think things are going to be perfect and easy now, and they're not. So are you dealing with, you have a good daily routine, but are you dealing with problems still? Are there certain things in your life that are dragging you down still? Like anything you can touch on?
Absolutely. I love that you asked that, and I try to be very open. I think a lot of people think that, and I say, I don't think it scare people away. I think it gets harder as you go. I believe if you ever hear like people say like God gives you good things and you level up and you keep following him, where it's like the next boss, like the devil's gonna hit you with a harder challenge. So, I would give up all those nice things to, I don't know if I want to say that. But let's be careful. I'm always big on careful what you wish for. But when you think about early sobriety, I had nothing. It's a daily reprieve to try to have gratitude every day for any human, I think, but especially an addict. So now I have all these nice things. I can find a problem in anything. In the beginning, it was like I'd wake up every day $1 million feeling like, because I didn't have to smoke dope. So daily now I forget because I'm used to nice things, a nice life, sobriety, health, girlfriends, friends, family, money, business opportunities. Then now I have to remind myself daily, dude, thank God you didn't have to wake up and snort a bag of dope, because this year, every year I look at it as levels. I wish I didn't, because I don't want to sound negative, because there's also the miracles in them. But COVID and my friends. The next year I thought it couldn't get worse. My brother kills himself. The next year my parents want to move to South Carolina, which is good for them, but obviously now that's another grieving. My childhood home, my parents aren't around. I moved. This year has been some crazy obstacles. A serious breakup, with someone that was really special to me. I broke my orbital bone in softball, two places. And honestly, since then, it was last June, I've felt the most not like myself for this whole 6th year. Anxiety, ocular migraines. That's why I'm wearing the glasses. We talked about that before, but just things I never dealt with. Some like other things like, just nothing abnormal, but like a little anxiety, a couple panic attacks from the ocular migraines. They're thinking it's all coming because like I hurt the nerve in my face during breaking my face in softball, but it's like you got to be ready. Like life does not become a breeze, I miss my parents. A lot of my family moved away, but as you get more, there's going to be bigger challenges. It's not going to get easier. So it's about being a warrior. Like I tell people in early sobriety, be ready. Like that God, you're going to need God. It's not like it's cool to give it to God. It's like I need to, because that's what got me through the things before. So yeah, I'm like, at the same time, blessed, like we talk about. Like we're about to have a guys' night tonight. We're celebrating 6 years. We're doing this. I have the material things, and I'm starting to build my business. That's far from rich, but rich in life and things to be grateful for. But challenges are gonna come. Life still lifes.
Life's still life.
We don't got to drink over it.
I think being sober makes it easier.
Yeah.
And it makes you, it forces yourself to become a better person, if that's what you want to be. Mm-hmm. I think when I was drinking and doing drugs, I didn't care about becoming a better person. And I didn't even know that the reason I was drinking, partying, numbing myself is because I had stuff I had to work on in myself. Like you brought up panic attacks. When you were drinking and doing drugs, did you even know you had panic attacks, or is this something that you started seeing as you got sober?
Really when I got sober. And they're wondering if it came from the injury, but I remember as a teen, before I ever used, like in puberty, like 12, 13, I would lay down and my face would get red and my heart would race. And looking back, I remember my mom saying like, "Oh, you're anxious. You try to go to sleep." And she'd ask me like, "Is anything wrong?" And stuff. I was like like young teen. So I wonder if I just numb that the whole way, because I also have ADHD, which gives you like, I'm always ramped up and anxiety. So that could be a thing too. But I have a therapist now. I mean, that's what my daily routine looks like. I try to better myself as a person. I've worked tremendously for 6 years through past traumas, through my character defects, the steps of AA, inventorying all the bullshit I did to people. So yeah, that's been the one. Anxiety attacks. I mean, obviously, going through a breakup, my brother and stuff. I've watched out for depression the last couple of years, and that's the beauty, like you said. It makes it. I don't even know if the word's easier, but able to actually handle instead of numbing and over and over and over, and then someday that shit just builds up. Now it's like I could have a rough week, but the next week's fucking awesome. You know what I mean? So it's like getting used to, like, I call it literally, that's so corny, but I always tell people when they're struggling to reach for help with stuff, it's a wave of life. You could have, like me, a #1 book, a great girlfriend, your friends are proud of you, business opportunities, break your face, panic attacks, breakup, like, you know what I mean? But I know that's what sobriety taught me. It's like, now it's starting to get better the last couple of months, and it's like, we're going to get back up there, and then shit's going to happen. I'm going to have to handle that shit.
And I think that's a big thing for people that are looking to get sober. Don't expect it. You're not going into heaven when you kick alcohol. You're making your life down here a little bit easier. Some people can handle drinking here and there, but the people that get addicted, I'm no scientist, but I think it's pretty well known that the people that get addicted, become alcoholics, become drug addicts, it's because they have an underlying maybe trauma, mental health disorder. I know for me, if I'm just being transparent, I've spoken to a few therapists. They say, "Oh, you have OCD." I've never gotten on any medicine for anything like that. I've never opened up I've never followed through with any therapy for long periods of time. But when I got sober, I realized that, I had stuff that affected me as a child. There was, chaos, probably some trauma, which we can get into another time. But when people get addicted, it's usually for underlying reasons. And when you get sober, that's not your vice to cope with anymore. So you have to face it head on, which can be really hard. So you said ADHD. People with ADHD, they're known to have poor impulse control. So that means if you just think about doing a line of Coke, it's going to be really hard for you to not do that line of Coke. Or, wow, I'd love to, pop a perk right now. When you have poor impulse control, it's going to be really hard for you to not do that. And then that just starts the downhill. It's a domino effect from there. Then the next day you'll do it again. And then things start to fall apart. You lose a relationship. You lose your job. And that's why if you have a problem like that, even something like ADHD, not a big deal. But even if you have a problem like that, you should probably be sober if you see it really affecting yourself. So that's, to me, that's what I've learned. I really thought I would stop drinking and stuff, and it would be like, okay, I'm in heaven now. Everything's great. Everything is great. It is. But it's because I tell myself that. It's your mindset. And at the end of the day, it's not. You start to learn more about yourself and what you have to do to take care of yourself. So you said therapy, you pray, you work out. Those are all things that you're doing to try to keep yourself in a good headspace, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's where it all started, was get lifted. It was my little saying of get lifted spiritually, mentally, physically, because I literally felt like that punch from God that, like, I got the answer to life. Like, it's not addicts, too. It's anyone. I was giving it to people that were depressed, and, like, you helped me. 'Cause I just never understood why I use the way I use. And there's things, like you said, like, ADHD also means low dopamine. So whether it's sex, gambling, heroin, alcohol, I'm gonna find a way to get dopamine. But that's the thing. It can also be reading, cleaning my place, going to dinner with the guys, meditating. Um, and I'm with you. I mean, I love that. That's just crazy. People don't listen to social media. People meet me in public sometimes, and they're like, "You are just phenomenal." I'm like, just so you know, I'm a fucking nut job. Like, I also have OCD. I was a kid. My mom used to be like, "Are you good?" I would walk by my cleats and I would tap my shoes 4 times, and I would tap them the other way. Couldn't tell you why. I felt like it was OCD. I felt like now things are right and I'm okay, and I didn't think anything of it then. And those things do show face, you know, in sobriety, and that's why therapy, and for me, yeah, meditation, journaling, therapy, everything. There's a guy in AA says you can be as free as you want to be. How free do you want to be? So I could wake up and do nothing all day and feel like a trash bag. I could wake up, like I said, pray, go work on myself in the gym, have a healthy breakfast and a smoothie, take a vitamin, read 2 pages of a motivational book, a page, something good for my mind, work on some chores I have to do, and all of a sudden I feel like $1 million. Or I could just chill and feel like shit. So I don't think people understand. There's other things outside your control, but for the most part, faith without works is dead. If you do some work, you probably feel pretty good.
It's momentum.
Yeah.
I've noticed, like, for me, and it's okay to have, like, it's okay to chill. You live once. It's okay to chill and relax and eat a little junk food and binge watch a show or scroll for too long. I think moderation is the key, and you can do that once in a while, but if you do that every day, it's bad momentum. And I think that's probably where people end up depressed and, you know, sad. And then when you're depressed, if you're a sober person, you might relapse. And so it's about keeping good momentum too, but at the same time, not stressing yourself out too much. Have that piece of candy, have that ice cream at the end of the day. If you miss a prayer, you pick it up the next day. It's about getting back and just trying to set a new low for yourself. Like, our old lows used to be losing $1,000 at the casino, running to the bathroom, sniffing coke, drinking a lot, you know.
Waking up on the side of the street.
Waking up on the side of the street. I mean, we've got some crazy stories. Those used to be our lows. Now our lows are like, maybe you get into a fight with your girlfriend. I know, you know, you're single now, but maybe you get into a fight with your girlfriend and you said something you shouldn't have said. Maybe you have too much candy. Like, that's just a new low, but that's still way better than what your lows used to be. So I think just improving upon yourself and realizing that you're not going to be perfect every day. Like you said, someone sees you out in public and it's someone that you know, oh, you're perfect, man. It's like, no, I'm not. And I don't want you to idolize me because I'm not perfect. But making these changes has helped me out a lot and made me better and made life a lot easier. So that's big. But, you know, there's crazy stuff that have happened. You know, I think what you said about the dopamine was really interesting because I've noticed that too. It's when you have low dopamine, like you said, ADHD, you also have low dopamine with that. You're chasing the things. It can be the bad things. And I remember that could mean hooking up with a lot of girls, you know, back in the day, being whatever the word is, being a little slut, whatever a man slut. It means doing drugs, it means drinking, it means gambling. Did you deal with more than just alcohol and drugs? Because I know that's something you talk about. Were you somebody that slept with a lot of girls and gambled a lot, maybe more than you should have? Did you have to fight that too? And is that something that you're still dealing with? Because being sober technically means not drinking or doing drugs, right? But to me, if you're blowing all your money at the casino or you're a sex addict, that's not sober. So was there any stuff that you dealt with too? Because I know personally, I can kind of start it out. Like, I've had moments where I felt like I was addicted to gambling, sex, different types of drugs. I know what I deal with now. I haven't had a drink in going on 4 years, but sugar. I mean, it's like a drug to me. Like I binge eat, I'll eat a bag of chips, I'll eat a bunch of candy, which I know isn't healthy for me. So I deal with stuff like that too. So did you ever deal with stuff that wasn't drugs and alcohol? And how's that looking for you today?
Absolutely. I think everything, almost everything. I mean, shit. Like, I got sober right away. It was girls. And even if it was sex or not, it was that attention, you know, a new girl, a new love, like that dopamine hit.
That ego boost is a dopamine
little
hit.
ego boost,
Yeah.
like not feeling alone, feeling accepted and wanted. And then, you know, we had our times having fun gambling. And that was chill. And I think, you know, I noticed big after my brother, like, I was reaching. I would not reach for a drug or alcohol, but I was reaching for the next thing. Really quick, a couple girls came around, and right away, that's the thing, you're self-aware. So right away, I'm like, all right, this got cooled off. Like, this is just going to be a new addiction, basically. Like, I'm relapsing without alcohol. I'm looking to, like, just use women to feel better. So, like, I'm talking, like, a couple weeks I ended that. And then real quick, I caught myself, never gambled much. Like, we used to, when we all got sober, gamble a little for fun. I started gambling, like, a lot. And, you know, thankfully didn't throw my life away. Probably would have. You know what I mean? There was times where I shouldn't have been in a casino or doing something, and I was. And Russell Brand talks about great. I read his book, Early Sobriety, when I met him at the rehab I went to, and he talks about, like, he has 16 years sobriety. He's like, it's just battling. Like, your addiction shows face in different ways. You know, it could be just spending money. I'm not a big, like, you know, I try to look professional these days, but I'm not a big, like, name brand shopping person. But it could be just, like, buying stupid shit from the gas station, like, spending, like, it comes out. Your brain wants
Shopaholic.
Yeah, your brain just wants that dopamine. So for me, it's just being self-aware today and kind of keeping it all at bay. Like, could I go to a casino, blow 500 on roulette, have some fun? Yes. But if I ever go too far, I know I shouldn't be doing that. You know, can I date around and da-da-da? If that gets out of hand, right away I pull back. So you don't become perfect. It's like knowing you're human, but having that spiritual awareness of, like, this is getting dark. You know, I'm kind of going down this rabbit hole. This isn't great, you know? And I love what you said, too, about food and stuff. Like, the real answer is balance. You know, you want to sleep with someone, they're okay with it, cool. You want to go blow 1,000, you have 1,000 to blow, cool, at a casino. You know, my ex, my parents, they make fun of me all the time because I eat like a pro athlete all day. And so a lot of times I'll post it to, like, inspire people. Like, oh, look how easy this is. You can have yogurt and eggs and rice every morning. And like right away I get DMs from, like, them and people, and they're like, make sure you show them the ice cream, because I have ice cream every night.
Yeah.
I have ice cream every night. Like, I still
You have ice cream every night?
just about, yeah. But not to I don't have a carton of ice cream unless it's sometimes Ben and Jerry's, like a pint. But I'll make sure in balance. I'm in the gym in the morning. I do cardio. I drink a lot of water. So I think that I eat healthy. That's why I eat healthy all day. So I have the freedom to, like, hopefully that ice cream won't kill me at once a night. You know?
Well, and that's the thing. As I go through my life without drugs and alcohol, I've learned that, like, you only live once. Is a scoop of ice cream at night gonna ruin me or ruin my relationships? Maybe it'll take a couple weeks off my life. Maybe it'll take a year. But at the end of the day, I look forward to it. I look forward to a little whatever it is. You look forward to it. Just enjoy yourself if it's not ruining you, if it's in moderation. The same thing with gambling. I just think the problem with addicts is you have to know what's a non-negotiable. For you, no alcohol, no drugs, right? If I'm wrong, tell me, but right, that's a non-negotiable.
Yeah, none, yeah.
No drugs, no alcohol. But maybe you can go to this casino and set a limit for yourself and enjoy yourself. That's fine. You can have the ice cream at night. That's fine. It's just about learning about yourself and still enjoying life, but not letting it go off the rails.
Yeah, and even for, say, when it comes to gambling, like, when I noticed that about my brother, I instantly stopped for like 6 months because I noticed it's like, this isn't going to go well. And when I went back, I was scared, you know? And most addicts, if you ask me, I would say don't try because it didn't get me rich. I've made a little money, but, like, it's the same as why I don't drink today. And I've even considered lately, like, not dating, not gambling, because, I mean, that's really the insanity and where I got sanity and sobriety was, like you said, you and me both weren't, like, in the morning drinking alcohol. You know, we could go a week not drinking and drink tonight together. But we got sanity from God at some point that, like, this just ain't worth it. You know, so I try to be transparent that you could live, you know what I mean, or try some stuff like gambling or stuff like that, but just know the risk. Like, is it really worth it? You know what I mean? Because even me now, like, I deleted DraftKings. Like, I don't dick around anymore. Like, it just became like, if it was filling my bank account, I'd probably keep doing it.
Yeah.
But most people lose, and then you have that stress. So it's like, that's kind of like drinking for me. I drink, and then I feel shitty in the morning. So the payoff is not better than the risk, you know?
So even after sobriety, you found that gambling was maybe another addiction.
Probably everything.
Everything.
Gambling, women, like, I don't know. There's, you know, but I think that's the strength, is like, you know what really gets you. Like, my drug of choice was opiates. Secondly, it was alcohol. But I could see how, like, give me a rough month, I could let gambling mess up my
Do you have any
life.
crazy gambling stories?
Yeah. I mean, I got one that's a good story, but I'm not trying to entice anyone to gamble.
No, this is like
This is
educational
funny.
purposes
Yeah.
only. But here's the thing. I wanted to interview you today, and I think we know how good you're doing, right?
Yeah,
like, we
absolutely.
talked about the nice car. We talked about the nice apartment. We're in a studio right now podcasting. Your socials are doing good. You've clearly found a lane, and you're successful. But I like to show that sobriety is not perfect, because anybody that's watching this or scrolling through this needs to realize that, like, this has been the theme, that things will not be perfect, and you'll learn more stuff about yourself. Like, oh, I still got to clean that up. I still got to do this. I still got to do that. And I want to get back to the gambling thing real quick, but what's funny is my fiance and I, she's got me watching all the Bravo shows, like Vanderpump Rules, all that stuff. And there's somebody on Vanderpump Rules that his name's James Kennedy. I'm sure there's people that are going to be watching that are familiar with Vanderpump Rules. And he got sober. And he stopped drinking because every time he drank, he'd, like, get into a big argument and fight somebody and say stuff that he didn't mean. But then he's been sober for a couple years, and something just came out like a week or two ago or a month ago or 2 months ago recently, since he's been sober, that he got into a big fight with his girlfriend. And I think I don't want to, like, talk bad on his name, but I'm pretty sure he's got, like, charged with, like, assault or abuse. He hit his significant other. So what I'm trying to say is, he might have gotten sober and everybody said, oh, well, he's perfect. But he still had stuff to work on that he wasn't working on, clearly, right? You got sober. You still had stuff to work on. And if you're going around punching people, yeah, it might have slowed down from stopping alcohol, but you still have stuff to work on. So that's kind of the theme I'm getting at here, is, like, if the stuff's really, take the alcohol and drugs away, but don't stop there. Learn what you have to do to be a better person and to make sure you don't ruin your relationships. So obviously gambling's a big one, right? I know I've seen you gamble. You like to have fun. I've never seen it to the point where it'd ruin you. But there's been times when you and I, while sober, we've probably gambled money that we shouldn't have gambled, right? We've probably gambled more than what we should have. It obviously didn't ruin us. It wasn't as bad as alcohol or drugs, but there's been that. There's certain things that you learn, which is what you're talking about now. You learn, like, yeah, I was a little addicted to gambling, and it was kind of not. I learned that at a later time. So give us a crazy gambling story where you went up, you went down. You have anything?
Yeah, there's one where I, like, honestly won a good amount of money. I mean, probably like $6,000 off, like, $40.
And all right, $6,000. Maybe right now is not that crazy for you, but
No, it still would be. It was a lot.
And so
like,
then it was $6,000.
Oh,
I remember where we were. Like, $6,000 was like.
I was looking at it and I was like, how did I get this much money? Like, I don't know
Mama,
the
I
last
made
time I
it.
held that much money. Like, and I thought I was a man. And then I think either my friends or my parents coming to town, we were going to Mohegan in Connecticut the next week. And, you know, I was coming off that high. So I was like, I'm unstoppable, I guess. Gambling's fun. And I think within 30 minutes, I lost $1,700. And, you know, that's one of the couple times I caught myself in that chase of, like, I just took out another 1,000. I was like, oh, it's going to come back. Lost that 1,000. And I think I left down like 2,900.
So you went up 60 something hundred, 67,
Like days before a different casino.
and then you lost all of it and went down?
No, not all of it. No,
Okay,
no.
all
I
right.
lost like half, but I'm talking like in an hour or two.
Yeah.
And I had 12 hours at the 24 hours at the casino.
And think about that.
So it's like
You went down
what's the point?
$3,000
Like-
when your net worth was probably
like a little bit more than that.
yeah.
Like,
You went down almost your whole net worth,
yeah.
which you wouldn't if you weren't in a casino gambling on DraftKings, whatever. You wouldn't just throw away your net worth. But that's where the addiction thing comes in, where you don't think straight. You're ready to lose it all. After I was sober, I remember like just a story about gambling that really put a pit in my stomach. Because I also, like you, we're very similar in a lot of ways. I found that I had problems at times with gambling. It wasn't anything like my alcohol thing.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I was dating a girl and we had a trip. We were going to Boston for the weekend. And I did not have much money to my name. I was probably 6 months sober, just starting my new job, getting on my feet. And I had an online login for like an online casino. And we were supposed to go to Boston. And she's getting ready. And she's taking a little bit too long. She's like doing her makeup or whatever. So I'm sitting in the living room. And I'm like, well, I guess we're going to wait here. So impulsively I said, let me just log into that casino account. Within legit 5 minutes, I go on blackjack. Or maybe it was roulette. I don't remember the specifics. Within 5 minutes, I go down $1,000. Now, $1,000 might not sound like a lot, but $1,000 was like all the spending money I had for that Boston trip. It was probably like all the money I had. I didn't have a 401k. Like literally, when this happened, probably all the money I had, gone. Lost it all. And it's because I just sat there impulsively on the couch and said, well, she's getting ready still. So that going in, like, so now I had to go into this Boston trip, and I didn't say anything about it. I just swallowed my pride. I just swallowed my guilt, and I just held it in, and it affected the whole trip. Because I knew instead of going on a fun trip where we can eat what we want or buy what we want, maybe do a little shopping, maybe go see a show, a game, that I didn't have the money to do any of that. And it ruined the whole trip.
Yeah.
From a 1 second impulsive thought. Yeah. So for me, that's where the low impulse, low dopamine thing comes in again, where it's, you start to learn. I'm like, after something like that happened to me, I said, whoa, that really just like, that was a real negative thing that really negatively affected my life. Maybe I shouldn't be gambling. But I didn't know any of that. Like, gambling's legal. I didn't know any. It's like, I didn't know any of that. I thought, no big deal. And then you start to realize what person you are, what kind of gambler you are. So, yeah, that's just another thing where as you're going through your sober journey, you start to learn, like, okay, maybe I should do that, shouldn't do that.
No, you're constantly learning. I try to tell people all the time, be easy on yourself. You know what I mean? Be hard on yourself, like hold yourself accountable. But yeah, I learned how to be a better boyfriend, better son, better brother, better uncle, better, not gamble, not, sleep around. Like you learn it. You're all humans. And it's like, that's what's crazy is you're just starting to learn. Like everyone else learned at 21. It's like, well, I numb until now. So like, I've only been learning these last 6 years. So it's crazy.
It is crazy. Do you think about where you're going from here? Like 6 years sober, that's huge. Knock on wood, but we never want to see you drinking or doing drugs again. But where do you go from here?
Honestly, as far as we can. The goal has been to just, and this is probably like the last question we got, but to the top of helping people. For me, it's not so much ego like to the top of business. It's been just service of how can I be of service to other people. I've been in a weird place lately and good. Just things are steady. And I was always working on a big project. So it's kind of like, not sure what's next. The podcast, doing TikTok and social media, maybe another book. But I just want to make sure I'm of service to everyone as much as I can be through my story and being honest and genuine. And maybe the next is about being in sobriety, because the first book was kind of about that. Or maybe how to become more successful, because that's what I've learned a lot last year, just like becoming yourself and becoming business successful or building a business, finding your purpose and your why. has been a big thing. So I'm just gonna keep praying on it, but definitely just keep sharing other people's stories on here, sharing my story on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and you know, just letting people know, like, kill the stigma. Like, you can't get sober. You don't need to die from this. That's I do best when I remember what they call your primary purpose, and mine is to be of service to other alcoholics and addicts. So keep my head on straight, head down, and eye on the prize is just show other people it's possible, and I believe God will bring you exactly where you're supposed to be.
Well, if you haven't read his book, go read his book, because I guess it's considered self-help, but a lot of self-help books will just kind of tell you do this, do that. It is like a journey through his life. It is it's very raw, genuine, and I think that's when I'm watching a creator, that's what I like to see. I want to see what they're really about, that genuine. I want to hear their real life stories. And if I have any advice to you, keep doing that. If you write another book, really get into detail what you're dealing with. And I think that's what people are going to love. But
appreciate you, bro.
This has been a lot of fun. I mean, I could talk about this stuff with you all day.
We'll have to do part 2.
Let's keep it going. I thank you for letting me interview you.
I appreciate it.
Congratulations on your 6 years. So proud of you.
Love you, man.
And let's go.
All right. I love you, brother.
Love you too, man.
Appreciate it. Everyone, check it out. Give us a like and follow. This is sponsored by Still Behavioral Health. If you need help, reach out anytime. Appreciate you, Josh.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening.